Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I thought we'd do something a little bit different. I finally decided to show you guys one of my current projects. This is my 1986 Pontiac Firebird, which I originally purchased back in June of 2019. Now this car was once equipped with a 5-liter 305 V8, but as of early this year the motor was swapped for a new 5.7-liter 350 V8, which was built and installed by two of my good friends. So my goals for this Firebird are to restore and improve the vehicle. But when it comes to the direction I want to go build-wise, I want to build a street car that can venture out to a road course on occasion. I also would like to inform you guys that I am by no means a mechanic myself. Now I can do the basics such as oil changes, brake jobs, and etc., but a lot of the work you will see in the series is done by a lot of great people whose help has been greatly appreciated. And one more final thing I would like to point out is that I originally wasn't planning on filming a series on this project of mine, so for this episode there will be a combination of pictures and video, but everything from here on will be filmed. So without further delay, I hope you guys enjoy and let's get started. Now I've always been a huge F-body fan, but I've especially always been obsessed with the Firebird, and I still remember when I saw those commercials for the 1998 Firebird when I was 3 years old.
Sometimes, after a hard day's work, you've just got to find a place to unwind. And for that job, there's no better car than a new Trans Am.
And from that point on, I was hooked. And even though GM ended production of the Firebird and Camaro in 2002, I would still continue to obsess over these cars till finally in 2014, I would own my very first Firebird. It was a 2002 Pontiac Firebird W68. Now it was a V6 automatic car, but I loved it. But unfortunately the car did have a pretty hard life before I acquired it. And for the next 3 years, I restored and enjoyed the vehicle, but sadly in 2017, I ended up having to part with the vehicle due to some underlying issues with the car. A couple years passed, and every time I'd see a Firebird drive by, I would think of how much I missed owning my own. I always had a soft spot for third gens, so in June of 2019, I purchased my current car, which this particular one is a 1986 Pontiac Firebird. It was equipped with a 305 V8 with a 5-speed manual transmission, but this car had definitely seen better days. And I knew it would take a lot of work to make it great again, but I didn't mind the challenge because this car deserved a second chance. And with that said, the first thing I did was an oil change. And with the oil change completed, I then turned my attention to the underside of the car. Now I did catch a glimpse of the bottom of the car when I purchased it to check for rust. But what I would find was definitely an eye-opener. Every inch of the Firebirds 305 was caked in oil and grease. And in the process of changing the car's oil, I came across large metal shavings, which that in itself, along with the grimy underside, were both clear indicators to how worn out the 305 really was. Over the next few months, I would tinker with little things here and there on the car. This would mostly consist of taking the car's interior apart, which that in itself had a gross surprise for me. I pulled up the car's center console to find decades worth of old cigarette butts and beer bottle caps. But with that mess cleaned out, I then proceeded to replace all of my broken interior vents. And with the vents replaced, I really didn't do anything else with the car till late January the following year, when I decided the Firebird was going to get a new engine. The video you see here was taken just before I took the car to the shop, where I was having the motor swap done. And even though it was cold that day, those white clouds you see trickling out of the car's exhaust pipes was a result of the oil burning problem with the 305. I took the Firebird to Road Ace, which is owned and operated by my good friends Michael and Caleb. Their shop is based out of Deer Park, Washington. I will also make sure to leave contact info for their services in the description below. And before the motor swap would begin, I would take one last look at the car. This would be the last time I'd get to see and drive the Firebird with its original drivetrain. But excited to get started, I drove the car into the shop. God, Michael.
A few minutes later.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right there. Oh, right there. Yeah.
Oh. Oh. It's all right here. Michael, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody how much fun you had with the extensions down there?
Putting long things in little places and just great.
Ready? Time to remove the 5.0. We're upgrading heavily to a 5.7.
Doesn't sound like much, but sure is.
It is.
Backwards, dude. What?
This one needs to come up, so.
Oh. Something like that. Yeah. Hold up. Got some ground straps we need to take care of. Broke something off of it. We should be good. Clear on that.
Through the chain. Oops. Well, the snips. Where the snips at?
Snip it.
Playing on the stands.
We're good. Might have to drop the car.
Put it on actually.
I don't see anything hooked up. Yep.
Nice.
We're not testing tensile strength on anything today. No fails.
Just need just a little bit. Yeah, should be good.
What's that thing anyway?
Just keep that one.
Good. Perfect. Man, waited so long.
Very good.
After the 305 was removed, we took a closer look to see how bad of shape the motor was really in. The engine had been leaking fluids from every seal it had for years, but the real shocker came when we removed the intake manifold from the engine. As you can see, it was honestly a miracle that this small block was still running at all. I knew the motor was in poor shape, but I was not expecting this. We also came to find out that one of the springs in the clutch had been broken at some point in the car's life. Now, I'm no expert, but considering everything we found, I think I can determine that this car's had a pretty hard life up until this point. Over the next few months, Michael and Caleb worked on installing the new 350 into the car. There turned out to be a lot of little maintenance issues that needed to be addressed, which along with having to order and wait for parts ate up a lot of time. But with the issues addressed, Michael and Caleb sent me these pictures of the new motor as they got closer to installing it into the car. Once they had the engine installed, they sent me these videos of the Firebird with its new power plant.
I'll have you
Now keep in mind the grumble you are hearing is coming out of the car's original exhaust, so I'm sure you are all just as excited as I to hear the 350 breathe through a true dual exhaust system at some point down the road. After I saw the videos, I went to pick up the car the following weekend. I drove the car home and had a blast doing it. Which brings us to where we are now. The Firebird has a brand new engine and a lot of potential to become an amazing street machine once again, but we still have a long way to go. And one more thing I would like to point out is that I will not be keeping this small restrictive air cleaner. It is only on the car at this time because it was the only one that could clear my car's hood, but I am planning on upgrading the Firebird's hood to accommodate a larger setup. With that said, I do have a list of things that I plan to work on in episode 2, which include fixing the Firebird speedometer, replacing the trans mount with a new polyurethane one, and I also have a new heater box to install on the car. But with all that said, it's time to wrap up this episode. I want to give a special thanks to my friends Michael and Caleb down at Road Ace for their amazing work. And if you would like to get in touch with them for their services, I have all their contact info in the description below. I also wanted to thank all of you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. So until next time, I'm Robert, and I will see you guys again soon. Oh yeah, easily. So what I think we should get this thing in the air and see what you can do.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, Robert's going to hand launch me because this is the maiden, so I'm not sure how it's going to handle.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to have full control at first, so let's do it.
All right, you ready?
Make sure all my controls are right. So right, left, up, down, right.
And this is stuff once in a while you should check. So
Yeah.
especially if it's a plane that's brand new. So yep. All right, you ready?
Do it.
Oh yeah. Definitely floatier than the Mustang. Yeah. That's what a nice higher weight plane is though. That's definitely a Cessna.
This thing is super maneuverable.
Is it?
Yeah.
That wind is making her float, man.
Yeah, this is very floaty. It has a good wingspan to it.
Yeah, no.